What is up guys, Syed here, and today I am in the BMW 316i. This is the F30 generation, and this was actually replaced by the 318i 3-cylinder in around 2015. Okay, so this car you can only get it in Singapore from like 2012 to 2014 model year. So in Singapore, for the F30 3 Series, you can get the 316, you can get the 318, you can get the 320 Efficient Dynamics, you can get the 320, you can get the 328i, and you can get the 335i. And of course you have the M3, but we're not going to talk about that. So this car has the N13 1.6 litre 4-cylinder turbo engine. This is what they call the Prince engine, which is basically an engine developed by a few French manufacturers and BMW. So you have like Peugeot, Citroën and BMW and all. This N13 is the same engine you find in the F20 116, the 1 Series, the F20 118 and the 320 Efficient Dynamics. But the only difference is that the engine is tuned to give different outputs for all these different models. So in this particular car, the 316, this engine outputs 134 horsepower, 220 Newton meters of torque. It's mated to the excellent ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. It's rear-wheel drive and does 0 to 100 in about 9.2 seconds. So the thing that draws people to this car is, obviously being a base 3 Series, the price is more affordable. And now used cars, right, you can get it for between like 50 to 60k with like an 11 to 13k kind of depreciation, which is, for a 3 Series quite reasonable. Because if you compare it to like 320, which has a depre of like 15 16k, 328 335, of course you don't have to mention, the depre is way higher than that. And I'm not going to compare it to the 318 because the 318 has a 3-cylinder. So I like my cars with even number of cylinders. So yeah, we're gonna just be talking about this car. And having a 1.6 litre engine, it means your road tax is very cheap, $742 a year. And this car also has a few fuel saving features which we're going to talk about later on. So exterior wise, this car is slightly bigger than the E90 generation 3 Series which it replaced, and looks wise I think this looks better than the E90. I think this looks better than the Audi A4, the B8 and the B8.5, and I also think it looks better than the W204C class, whether it's the pre-facelift, the peanut headlights, or the facelifted one with the slightly nicer headlights. I think this is the best looking car in like the German small sedan segment. This car has quite a garang look, and with just a simple M Sport body kit, this car looks really good. Even though this car is like almost 7-8 years old already. Some of these F30s have already had their COEs renewed even. It's the earliest model you can get is a 2012 one, and it doesn't look like an 8-year-old car. However, if like you move on to the interior, right, I think it's starting to look a bit dated. So to put it into context, right, the 2019 Mazda 3 that I drove recently has a more luxurious interior than this BMW 3 Series. Yes, I said it, a Mazda has a nicer interior than a BMW. But it's true, times are changing, manufacturers are making the interiors nicer. So this car, yeah, being 7-8 years old, it's starting to look a bit outdated. But the thing I like about the interior is that BMW's interiors are very functional. They may not be the prettiest, but they are easy to use, very easy for you to get used to. BMW iDrive, I think it's one of the best infotainment systems in the market. Also, speaking of interior features, this car doesn't have, all the new safety features that comes in modern cars like lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, 360 camera. This car doesn't have that, but I think that's fair, right? It's a base 3 Series, so they're trying to make it affordable for a lot of people. But this car has the parking reverse camera with guidance lines, and it has all around parking sensors as well. So for me it's good enough. In terms of practicality, I think it's quite decent for a car of this size. Center compartment, it's not deep, but it's the shape is also a bit weird because it has to make space for this manual handbrake. So it's not that big center compartment, but you do get 2 cup holders here with a removable tray, and a very small compartment above that to maybe keep your phone or something. Glove box is about average size, not too big. So in the back, with this seat being in my driver's position, I do get some leg room, more than 1 knuckle of leg room actually, and I get slightly more than 1 knuckle of headroom as well. However, I have to point out that because this is a rear-wheel drive car, the transmission tunnel is quite tall, and that eats up into your leg room. In the back you get 480 liters of boot space, which is about the same size you get in the Audi A4 and the Mercedes C-Class. So how does the F30 316i feel to drive? First of all, right, I think if you've driven an E90 before, you may be disappointed by this car. The reason I say that is because this has the electric power steering, so it's not as sharp as the E90. It's immediately obvious if like you drive an E90 and you jump into this F30 immediately after. There's a very big difference. The E90 will feel sharper, will be a bit more fun to drive, but the E90 has a very heavy steering, and that's a turn off for some people. For me personally, I prefer the slightly, okay, I can't say I prefer the slightly heavier, because around town, right, around city driving, the heavy steering can be quite annoying. So this car, I think, is a bit more city friendly, urban friendly than the E90, but it also loses a bit of that sharpness of the E90. And this car also has quite a few fuel saving technology features. So you have Eco Pro, so that's like the driving mode you should be in if you want to save the most amount of fuel. And you have a brake energy regeneration as well, and you also have auto start stop in this car. So you have like 3 different features to help you save petrol, and I'm gonna check the fuel consumption later on. So right now I'm in Eco Pro mode, and the car feels very tame, very mild. Even when I floor it, yeah, you can feel that turbo surge, but it's not exciting. Okay, now I'm gonna move it to sports mode. In sports mode, right, the steering is still not as sharp as I'd like it to be. It's not a 3 Series kind of sharp, because it's still relatively light. Even like when I'm driving at speed right now, the steering is still pretty light, not like what you expect from a 3 Series. You want a tight kind of steering feel, you know, and this car, yeah, it just doesn't feel like that. And I'm already in sports mode. If you are expecting this car to give you like some sort of excitement and all that, you will get that kind of excitement, but only if you are new to the BMW brand. If you've been driving like, you know, regular Japanese cars your whole life, and you just, you know, got this car, then yeah, you'll be okay, it's a BMW, you know, it's a turbocharged 3 Series. You will feel some sort of excitement, and you will use this car as the benchmark for your future BMWs. But if you've owned BMWs before, like an E90 or whatever, then you probably will not feel that this is an exciting car. Because even in sports mode right now, I'm flooring it. It doesn't have that like surge that, you know, pushes you back into your seat. So to answer the question, how good is a base 3 Series, the 316? It's good enough for you if you are new to the brand, you are new to BMWs. But if you've owned BMWs before, or you're used to, you know, this kind of like a bit more exotic brands like BM, Audi, Jaguar, Mercedes, this probably not, it won't excite or overwhelm you. To you, it will probably be, you know, just another BMW. So yeah, maybe if you're looking for that kind of driving feel, driving fun, you may have to get a 320, or you can get this car and you just tune it to give it a bit more power. I think you can get like 35 wheel horsepower with just a regular tune, which I mean good enough lah. This car is 134 horsepower, you know, so you bump it up to about 170. So because I've owned an E90 before, I prefer the sharpness and the steering feel and the feedback of the E90, definitely, for sure. But everything else, right, in terms of like you know, how easy it is to drive, the excitement, because the one that I owned was a 320, so you know, that car, 2 liter, no turbo, and it's super slow. That car is really very slow. I'm not saying that this is a bad car or anything, it's not, but yeah, if you're used to, you know, BMWs and stuff, I think you should go for the 320 at least, and you will feel it's a bit more worth your money. Even though the debris is pretty high, that is a 15-16k debris, that's like a 5 Series kind of debris. Yeah, which, you know, you can consider the 5 Series also. So if you are new to BMWs, new to, you know, this kind of a bit more luxurious brands, I think this will serve you just fine, because it's still more fun to drive than your average Japanese car. To sum up this car, how I would put it is it's like a bit neither here nor there kind of situation. It's not super sharp and it's not that powerful also. So if you want like a proper 3 Series, I think you have to go for at least a 320i. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this review, and I'll see you in the next video.